I was just reading a good book, Today Matters by John Maxwell. It's not the great book, but it's a great book. Every second matters. Today matters. What you did yesterday hopefully sets you up for today, and if not, well, set yourself up for today to affect tomorrow. I work with people to help them set the priorities right in their life, to get straight, to get focused on reaching their higher plane. Does that sound like you? Does that sound like what you do going into the weekend? Sometimes the weekend we say, oh, I'm going to rest. I'm going to relax. Did you do that? Do you do that? William James says, the art of being wise is the art of knowing what to overlook. Art of being wise is the art of knowing what to overlook. What to overlook? Wow. What do you think it is? What do you think in your life? Do you go in? We talked yesterday about this backpack, this thing that we carry here. This is, inside our head is this backpack. And we've got all kinds of things in there. We've got our schedule, our calendar. We've got all the conversations we've had that we continue to mull over. My good friend Lisa talked about today on her Facebook Live, mentioned that we think just three thoughts, 30,000 times a day. Can you imagine wasting time? That's 90,000 thoughts just on three things. We just continue to mull it over. We just focus on it. Do you focus on the same thought over and over each day? It could be a couple thoughts, obviously. Three, who's to say, right? Who's to say how many thoughts you think? But you know how many you think, but there's a whole bunch more going on in your head that just continues to revolve, waiting for an exit, waiting to be handled, waiting to be applied. What is the 30,000 thoughts focus for you? And how are you using the 86,400 seconds of your day? So we can step into this weekend with vigor for a happier you. And here's how we're going to do it. Is it time for new soil? Is it time for new soil in your life? We've talked about, I've mentioned about how you have to have the right conditions. Just like a plant, you need to be able to have the right dirt around it, the right water, the right sunlight, maybe some nutrients in the soil if the soil isn't quite up to snuff for that particular plant's needs. What's in your pot? What do you, not the other pot, but the pot of your mind and your body and your spirit. All those are important components of your life. What are you feeding into it? What are you putting into it? So as you step into this weekend, are you stepping in with vigor, or are you stepping in, maybe you're not even being stepped in? Maybe the time is dragging you into this weekend. Wow, that's, when I was thinking about that, dragging myself into the weekend, I've been there. I've been in several weekends where I just put out 60, 80 hours at work back when I was in the corporate environment, working hard, trying to get a project done. It came to Friday evening. We had to have it out to get it in the mail. And what happens? You push and you push and you push and push, and you just feel exhausted. And what do you do on Saturday morning? You either sleep in, or I slept in, or I got up, but I was like, most of Saturday just went on by. Why? Because I'm not stepping into a Saturday or weekend with vigor of, hey, today I can work on me for a change. Do you spend Saturday working on you for a change? And I'm not talking about your craft. Good morning, Lisa. Good morning, Mark. Glad to see both of you here. But do do you see in your life time for yourself, time to think of, look into your thoughts, to reflect, to take a moment to analyze, what are you thinking? How'd your relationships go for the week? Is there some that they didn't go well, or some that you didn't even take that opportunity to invest in another person? Somebody came to you and you just kind of brushed them off. Are there other conversations that you haven't had that you were planning to have? And maybe it's just to kick back, to relax, to not have an agenda per se. I'm going to ask this person a lot of questions, and here's my legal pad of questions. But simply to sit down and chat and see where the conversation goes, not to make it valueless, but to hear some stories, to talk, to share, to say what's perhaps on your mind that you haven't shared with that person. Perhaps it's just simply having coffee, having a relaxing time with that person and saying, hey, we haven't touched base in a long time. Tell me what's happening in your life. What is happening in your life? And maybe you're going to say, hey, this is the first weekend in a long time that I remember that I'm just going to take for me. I've been working really hard, and I don't know how best to approach it. Can you spend a little time with me to think through, help me think through what I'm being challenged on today? Maybe it's, taking this time off from work. John Maxwell in Today Matters mentions on priorities. Look on these 3 questions. What is required of you? In your priorities of your life, what is required of you? What gives you the highest return? What gives you the greatest reward? So as you go through looking back on your week, or what you're looking ahead, perhaps saying, hey, I need to change the soil of my thoughts, or I need to be more fertile in my thoughts. Maybe all the thoughts that I have aren't really getting me anywhere, and maybe I need to read this book, Today Matters. Maybe it's reading a different book. Maybe it's one that's been on your shelf that you haven't really probed into. Maybe it's that Think and Grow Rich book that, 150 million people have downloaded or bought, and only a few million maybe have actually read it and applied the lessons, maybe less. How are you going to step into this weekend with vigor instead of being dragged into the weekend by time? Time is precious. Time will keep marching on, whether you're awake to it or not. If we could only hold time, stop time, press a button. And, there's a couple of movies out there, and there's a couple of books on stopping time and just walking through this panorama of activities where people are just stopped, and you take a moment to look at what they're doing and come up with a story. I wonder what that person's doing. If we were to stop time for you, here's an idea. If we were to stop time for you right now, other than listening to this recording or listening to it live, what would be going on around you? What would it say about you and your activities? Is it focused on getting to that growth within you, the development within you, to take time for you to grow yourself, to have a better thought, have a better set of priorities in your life to get to where you want to go, to your dream? Or would the activities around you point to clutter, to, a bag full? A bag full of stuff. A bag full of stuff that just is weighing you down. What is it that you're saying? I keep looking in the middle of my screen, yet the camera's above, and you may be thinking, wow, he's reading something. I'm not reading anything. This is coming off of me. What's coming out of my heart, my thoughts, what I've been inspired to talk about. What's in ourselves? What is in our bag? What's in our mind? What's the clutter that we have? What isn't efficiently stored for our trip, for our journey, the tools we need for this moment? Sometimes we may need, these noise canceling headphones. Cut all the noise out from our lives, from the people talking around us. Sip on a coffee, read a book, cut the noise, and just meditate, reflect. Maybe it's looking at your calendar and saying, what is it in my week? What were the blocks of wasted time? What were the blocks of fertile time? Where did I spend the time? We talked about at least 1 hour a week that you spend time developing yourself. Maybe it's 1 hour of time, 1 hour of the week at 60 minutes, at 360 seconds, that you're going to spend time. If I did my math right, maybe not. That doesn't seem right, does it? 60 seconds to 60 minutes. Yeah. Oh, it's Friday, right? I have to work on my math for the weekend. That's my assignment. But what is it that we need to just listen to our thoughts, listen to where we're at, perhaps listen to somebody that is ahead of us, somebody that we look up to? Maybe they put out a podcast, maybe they put out a YouTube, maybe they're a TED Talk. Maybe it's, you're into some person who's introspective in their singing. Maybe it's listening to the joy of Victor Hugo and, others who have a mastery of the piano that can do stuff with it that makes you laugh. Maybe you haven't laughed in a long time. I'm not sure. Maybe you need to take a look at, just say, okay, here's my calendar for the week. These are the triumphs. These are the shortfalls. This is where I can do better. Maybe I haven't spent all the time on the priorities that I need to. Maybe it's just I haven't really looked at what's required of me. Know what is important. So part of prioritization is knowing what's important. Decide how it will be done. So organize your thoughts, organize your priorities. Decide what you will do with them. Communicate, share them with others. This weekend I'm going to do and fill in the blank. I will commit to this. Execute then. Make sure it's just not talk, that you actually execute, that you're committed to change. You know what this means for you. You know what this means in your life. I know this house recently went through a transformation of, the impact from the swarm of termites. It's Florida. Oh my gosh, a bug infestation. Just those things that we need to put away to make it more effective so we can, do what we need to do the creation that we need to do, the content building, the thought, a cluttered house leads to a cluttered mind. Although some have said that a cluttered desk, if you look down at my desk, I don't know if you can see all that, but there's a lot of clutter on there. It doesn't have to be perfect. I'm not saying it has to be perfect. Sometimes there's things necessary on the desk to help you. Sometimes there's things necessary in the backpack, in this little backpack that we have, that are necessary, right? I'm getting tired of picking this thing up. Does your head get heavy from picking it up off the pillow? Do you wish you could just lay your head down on your desk at work? Is it hard? Is your day hard because your priorities? You think you know your priorities. All my priorities are my children, work. I've got to do this. I got to do that. I got to go to the doctor. I've got to attend to this appointment. I got to, get to the dog to this. And are those really the priorities in your life, or are they just tasks on your list? And then evaluate what those priorities are. Evaluate your performance to them, your commitment to them, your results. Are they getting you the outcome that you desire, the outcome that you need, the outcome that you are called to do? Is it within your purpose, within your passion, with the talents that you were given? Are you utilizing them? Are the priorities in your day matching up with what you're called, with what you're required to do? Step in this weekend with vigor. Make it a day to prioritize, to look at your calendar, to look at your life, to read and fertilize the soil in your mind with new thoughts, with a new energy, with a new commitment to improve where you're going, to get to the higher point, to be able to look at, like the mountain climber, get to the top of the mountain and look beyond. Look at the wonderment. If we just look at rock all the time, we just look at the gravel in front of us and trying to struggle to get to the top. Maybe it's time to get to the top of the mountain. And that mountain doesn't have to be, the tallest mountain on the earth. It's pretty tall on its own. But perhaps you just need to get to that point and look beyond and know that there is much more beyond that. Calling, waiting for you to explore. We are explorers. We are investigators. We have curiosity for good. We haven't tapped all the good. There's a greater abundance that is waiting for you to meet your needs, to be ready for you if your priorities are lined up. That you step into this weekend with vigor, that you step into it with intentional living, with intentional actions, that hey, some things may not go right. You may spend actually more time than you thought on your priorities this weekend. That's okay. Take the time to get yourself straight, to get yourself energized, to get yourself committed and say, I will commit to this. I will do this daily, and then start acting on it. We have a retreat coming that will transform and help you. It's helped other people, and it's very, when we've done this in the past, it's helped people get straight in their priorities in their mind. And it's great for businesses as well, for business teams. There's so many things that go and call for our attention, the noise that causes lack of clarity, lack of attention to it, lack of focus, lack of committing because we're pulled in so many different directions. sometimes we just got to look at this backpack and say, yeah, that's just too much. Just too much. I need, and I'm going to switch it over to the side here. This is just too much. Do you think it's too much? Do you think this day is too much and you can't take it anymore? Spend the time now, if you have it. Spend the time this weekend, for sure, to say, no more. This is it. I'm lightening the load for my journey ahead. I'm going to reach that place that I want to go to, that dream, that goal that I have, much faster. I don't want to be weighed down by my past. My name is Dutkiewicz, and I help you improve your priorities and get to a higher place, faster and quicker. And I'll walk along with you with my experiences and with questions that I can help you explore that fertile ground and that vigor that's just waiting for you to recapture. Talk soon. Have a great weekend.